So here, BangTao, Muay Thai, and MMA with George Hickman, one of the owners. And how long have you guys been working on this?
Well, the gym, the construction's been since like October of last year.
Yeah.
But it's been since we've been talking about it for years and years. But in 2020 is when things got serious, and Alex, one of our partners, is the one that got the ball rolling and said this is the time, because we had the downtime to actually do the work and find the location and start putting things into play. And now we're finally almost here.
Dude, and what I saw earlier, because I've been here, I think this is my third time now. What I saw earlier was just this room. You didn't quite have everything done in that looks to be what, your Muay Thai area?
Yeah, in the back is the Muay Thai, and then over there is the fitness.
The fitness, yeah. Dude, by the way, I love the fitness area.
Thank you.
Yeah, especially like the functional fitness area. It's my favorite area.
Yeah, we knew that. I think 90% of people, or even more than that, thought that when we left, it was just going to be, maybe like an MMA area, like a decent size, and maybe a small little weight room or something. I don't know. I don't know what people thought, but they definitely didn't think it was what we're doing. And so whenever people come in, they're blown away, which obviously makes us very happy. So it's even still, a lot of our friends have not seen the finished product. So hopefully in the coming weeks, word will travel fast.
Yeah. Well, like, I know you have a lot of connections with other gyms down in like the Rawai area, and you've got a lot of friends down there.
Yeah, I mean, I still got a lot of friends at Tiger,
Yeah.
Those were some of the best times of my life, and they helped me to, like, coaching career-wise, get to a point where we could, open this. So I have, nothing but love for them, and we've been here a long time in Thailand, and especially in Phuket, and have a lot of friends here. We have a lot of friends that, like, living in Phuket for 8 years now has really given. I've been able to, myself, Woody, my brother, Alex, like, we've been able to build relationships with people, around the world. Like, my brother's in Jacksonville, Florida right now with Volkanovski, helping him prepare for his fight this weekend. So, and he's cornered him for every single title fight that he's had, and he works with Israel Adesanya and Brad Riddell, and so we've been lucky. We have a lot of, like, really great connections, and a lot of friends around the world.
Yeah, that's fucking cool. That's one of the cool things I think about Phuket is, like, while Southern Florida is definitely, to me, the mecca of training for MMA right now.
Yeah.
But Phuket is, I think, the most internationally traveled area.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, it's you think about, like, all the fighters that have come not only to Tiger Muay Thai but to Phuket Top Team, to AKA, travel through Bangkok.
Yep.
It's a lot of people. Yeah. Before I left, right before COVID, like the last high season before COVID, man, there'd be 80, 90 people in our wrestling class and sparring class, like, for professional fighters. And that wasn't even, like, the class that we taught in the morning for, beginners and intermediates. It was like we teach in the morning at 11:30 for beginners and the intermediate. And then we would teach the same class in the afternoon, but for the, like, professional fighters. And in any, I used to joke and say I wish I had a megaphone that I could speak English into it, and it would, like, just shout into everyone would have an earpiece of what language, because there's so many different nationalities and things that we've worked with. I've cornered Russian fighters, Chechen fighters, Dagestan fighters, Japanese fighters, Chinese, Korean, like, Brazilian, like, it's we've definitely, like, we've made a lot of contacts and met a lot of people and a lot of great friends over the years being in Phuket. So it's been good.
I mean, I imagine your network up here is just, yeah, and it's pretty insane. Like, you could literally go to anywhere in the world at this point and have a friendly gym to walk into, right?
For sure. I went to Czechoslovakia one time to corner a fighter in ACA, and they flew me in and out of Austria. So it was like, to Czechoslovakia from the Austrian airport, it was like 50 minutes by car. And I had some friends that lived in Austria that were Chechen that picked me up from the hotel the next morning and then drove me back to Austria and then took me around the city all day long and then had their family made me like this huge dinner before I flew back. It was a pretty cool experience.
Dude, that is a really cool experience. Yeah. And so, like, what even brought you out to Phuket? Like, what brought you here?
In 2014, I did the Tiger Muay Thai tryouts to be a fighter, and I made the team, and then I started coaching I got here in April. What's today? So April 4th was my 8th year here in Thailand, and yeah, I did the tryouts, and probably by like November I was like coaching, if I remember correctly. I was the wrestling coach and the assistant MMA coach, and then probably a year or so after that I became the MMA coach there. And then eventually my brother came out, and yeah.
Then just kept going.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Every year was better, so now we're to this point.
Yeah, to where you finally you grew up and now you got your own gym, right?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That is fucking awesome, dude. And like, I personally, so like, I've been kept in Bangkok myself because of my teaching career and stuff like that, which I've subsequently quit. But it gives me the chance to go visit everybody, which is something, especially like the last few years, I've kind of checked out of the MMA scene for a while because like some things that happened. So I felt it better to separate myself. And so it's really good to be able to get around and meet everybody and like reconnect.
Before you never came to really Phuket ever.
No, I avoided Phuket actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was always, for me, it was like a tourist destination, and I avoid tourist destinations.
Yes, it's very much a tourist destination, that's for sure. But it brings in some very high-level fighters.
Yeah.
I think, like, you know, you fought in the UFC, and training camps aren't cheap, and to be able to buy a plane ticket from America or wherever, you know, for maybe a round trip for $1,000, and then to get here and to, you know, spend, depending on how long you're here, like the rent is cheaper than it would be anywhere else, the food is cheaper, and just the fact that, number one, fighting is a stressful sport, and being year-round, you can go to the beach, and the weather's most of the time nice, and you can ride around on a motorbike, and being able to train everything in one gym, you know?
Yeah.
Like in America, at least when I was fighting before I moved to Thailand, in Atlanta, I would drive 45 minutes to train at one gym, go back to work, 50 minutes to drive to another gym, depending on traffic, maybe longer.
Yeah.
And you're driving everywhere to do jiu-jitsu here, to do sparring here, to do, you know, hit pads here, and boxing or Muay Thai here. It's just all over the place. And I think it's a lot of places are like that in America, other than, like, you know, obviously American Top Team and Henry Hoof's gym and things like that. So yeah, here in Thailand you can get everything in Phuket under one roof or one gym.
And had I known that I could come out here and experience this kind of life, fuck, man,
I would have done the same thing.
Yeah.
I would have done the same thing, you know, like when I got here I was like, what the hell took me so long to get out here?
Yep.
Yeah, it's and I'm sure you're similar because you've been here for a long time. Like when I got here, I remember being on my motorbike one time, just being like, this can't be real life. Like, it's just so, it's like you have this feeling when you first come here that's like, it's almost like a high. Like you just, you know, the people and the culture. I mean, I had never really traveled outside of America other than like going on a cruise in the Caribbean and to Canada one time to wrestle. And yeah, and I came here, and then I've been to, you know, heaps of different countries now. And yeah, Thailand does that to you, I guess.
Dude, it has changed me quite a bit. Like, I don't know that I could ever go back to the States and live.
It would be very, very hard. And I think a lot of people, you know, that have spent time here find it to be that way. Like, you know, my wife is Thai, and when we started opening the gym, she went to America last year for 3 years with my daughter and stayed at my parents' house. And because they hadn't seen her in a while, you know, since the beginning. Like we went to America to visit my parents like November before 2019, so right before
just
COVID.
before it.
Yeah, and so they hadn't seen my daughter in a while, and it was great. You know, they spent 3 months there, and I was here, you know, training Loma, getting her ready for a fight, and getting this going, And then I went after the fight. I went to to see my parents and meet up with them, and we stayed there for about a week more, and then flew back to Thailand. And yeah, my wife like loved America, but it's just that's why we love it here, because the quality of life is it's different. Yeah.
Yep. That's the best way to put it. Just different.
Very different. Very different.
And by the way, congrats on that. Loma being the first Thai national to make it into the UFC.
Thank you.
So like fucking yeah, bro.
I appreciate it. Yes, it was a very a team effort. Myself, Alex, Woody was our strength coach, because before, when I first started training her, she fought at atom weight in Invicta.
Yep.
She was a 105 pounder, and then I think she was 3-1 when she got signed to the UFC, and she obviously had to put on some weight, and her first fight or two, I think she weighed like 119 pounds the day of the fight.
Okay.
Fighting at 115, that's not very big.
Yeah.
Compared to some of the girls. So yeah, I mean, she's put on a lot of size, and taking a Muay Thai fighter and teaching them how to wrestle and how to do jiu-jitsu and get up and defend takedowns, and even striking is very different in MMA than it is in Muay Thai. So yeah, it's been a big team effort of everyone helping us. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's excellent.
And I think there's going to be a lot more in the coming years.
Dude, I'm thinking 5 years. 5 years and the Thais are going to rule the lower weights.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. That's definitely like my plan, and what I want to do here is I want to put more fighters but more Thais into the UFC.
Yeah.
Give me all the ones that are done fighting Muay Thai, and let myself and the rest of our team help them develop and get to the UFC.
Yeah, because when they're about 18, 19, they're starting to get old for Muay Thai, right?
Yeah, I mean, some of them fight like later into their 20s and stuff, but yeah, a lot of fighters are maybe they didn't make it to Bangkok, and they're done fighting, or maybe some of the ones that are in Bangkok early 20s, mid 20s, and that's not too much longer typically after that.
Yeah, because Muay Thai, that's a brutal game. That's a young person's game.
It's funny because Thai people always say to me like, "Oh, Muay Thai is jet man," hurt. I'm like, no, or MMA, and I'm like, no, Muay Thai hurts way worse. Like 5 rounds of banging your legs and shins and elbows off of people and your knees. Where in MMA, some punches and some kicks, and then a takedown, and then some grappling. And
every time I fought Muay Thai, I couldn't walk for like the next week, just from like throwing kicks and smacking knees and elbows and shit. And you're like, motherfucker, it's so bad.
Definitely.
But yeah, and so you guys are gonna do smokers here, and like, are you gonna do Muay Thai, boxing, grappling, MMA, a mix of everything? Like, what's kind of your thought process behind that?
We want to have, like, for our grand opening, we want to have just some fights, some food for people to come check out the gym as our grand opening, and we'll have we're planning on having some Muay Thai fights, some MMA fights, but with shin guards and headgear and big gloves and
so amateur.
Yeah, amateur for sure.
Nice.
And just
I got a 16-year-old for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. For MMA or what?
MMA.
Okay.
You guys got any youngsters?
How much?
60 kilos.
60 kilos. I have a 15-year-old.
You got a 15-year-old?
Yeah, but he's about 75 kilos.
Ah, shit.
Yeah.
I think Toby's soaking wet, and like after a bowl of ice cream or 4, maybe weighs like 68.
Okay. Maybe in the future then we can. Definitely.
Maybe,
That's good to know, though. That's good to know.
Yeah, because it's one of those things, well, you obviously know, the popularity of MMA is exploded.
Yeah, it's definitely not the same as when I first came. I remember hearing Thai trainers talk about MMA and like how Muay is like stupid fighters and they didn't understand. But now fans are more educated in Thailand. You see like signs on the buses in Bangkok with the UFC, and places show the UFC, and and obviously with Loma, more people are doing it. Stamp has done a great job in one, and I think the popularity is now when you say MMA or Muay Thai, most people, you know, they're like,
know.
oh yeah, I
Yep.
understand. Whereas before, at least 8 years ago, when I would say that, they'd be like, oh, Muay Thai, and I'm like, no, MMA, and they're like, what? But now, yeah, people are starting to understand. So I think not even just MMA, but also like jiu-jitsu and stuff like that.
Yep.
Like, now there's, you know, famous actors that are doing jiu-jitsu, and it's yeah, I think more people like that get into it, and you know, the rest of the population and culture, you know, see them doing it, then it makes people want to try it. So I think it's, like you said, another 5 years or so, I think things are going to be very, very different.
Dude, I'm looking forward to that too, to be honest with you.
Me too.
Yeah.
Because then we don't have to hear Joe Rogan say he's got him in that tie clinch, and it's just like some guy like pulling the other guy's head down. He's like blocking knees like that, you know.
Yeah.
It's, yeah, it's
You had a couple guys like Matt Brown got pretty damn good at Muay Thai for MMA.
Yep.
That was under Dorian Price.
Yes, and I don't think I've met Dorian, but I know him from like social media and things.
Just
and
being around.
talk to him occasionally. Yeah.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, I was in Abu Dhabi 2 weeks ago, and MMA Junkie did like a 50-minute like build-up documentary style thing for Matt Brown's most recent fight, and it was cool seeing him doing like clinching and like and seeing his technique and stuff. Like it was it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be cool to watch more Muay Thai get incorporated, and especially when Thai fighters get in there just fucking busting people up.
I agree.
I had this kid, his name was Bank. He ended up fighting for One Warrior Series, and then he got drafted to the military, and that exploded. But every single one of his fights, he broke something on the other person.
Wow.
He kicked a person, broke his arm.
Uh-huh.
He elbowed a person in the collarbone
Broke
from
that.
bottom, broke that.
Wow.
Kneed a guy in the face, knocked out half his teeth.
Yeah, man, it's destructive. Like Top Noy, the kid, and his last Ryzen fight, he left elbowed the guy, and two of his teeth came out, and he like pointed down like that, and I was like yelling, like, go forward, don't stop. And there was like 10 seconds left, and he stopped because the guy was like, and went like that, and then the ref told him to continue. But yeah, it's very I think for me, like, I love watching Muay Thai as much as I do MMA, and it's like very high level Muay Thai, and it's I think one of the best things that you can have if you can transition it to, you know, changing the distance and a little bit more movement and feinting and things like that. I think it's great for MMA.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And yeah, dude, so you're doing opening an opening fight event here. Will you continue your fight events?
I don't know right off the bat. I mean, I think that in the last like 4 or 5 months, there's been a lot of events popping up around the country, and I think it's great. Whether, you know, there's some amateur events, there's some pro events, and it's MMA events in Thailand are just different in general, as you know. But it's I think it's great for fighters to, you know, to get experience, and because that's the one thing, like in Muay Thai, you know, like you have in MMA, every win and loss on the, you know, once you turn pro is a big deal.
It's a big deal, yeah.
And Muay Thai, maybe not as much, you know, they fight so often and so frequent. But I think it's great for, like, even you think about someone like Cyril Gane, who fought for the UFC title. I think he had like 10 or 11 MMA fights and maybe like 14 pro fights. That's not a lot of experience in fighting compared to someone like Loma Top or Brad Riddell, who's had 70-some kickboxing fights, or Israel, who's had over 100 fights. Like, you know, the experience and the things that you learn every time that you get in there, you know, really carry you further. So I think it's great that these smaller promotions are popping up where, you know, top fighters and even foreign fighters with, you know, lower records here in the country can get in there and test themselves and get the experience.
Well, like, so you're a wrestler, I'm a wrestler, and like back in the day, you know, like during a season you get 30, 35 matches in, and that's over the course of like 3 months.
Yep.
And like,
and where I'm from, I know it's different in the Midwest and up north, but like in North Carolina, where I'm from, I would sometimes get 10 matches in a weekend. If we did if we did a 2-day dual tournament, we'd wrestle 5 times the first day and 5 times the second day.
Holy shit!
I had I think 200 and just under 250 wrestling matches in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I just count my high school, like just my season matches, I think I'd have around 150. But then out of season, I always did the Greco and the freestyle. Yeah.
Did a lot. But yeah, that's, I mean,
it's fucking nuts, dude. 250? Jesus.
in the South is different. It's
Yeah.
definitely different. But the competition is not the same, you know, as what it is. Like there's some kids every year in the state that can go into wrestle in the D1 school and compete with those guys. But stereotypically, the Ohio, Pennsylvania, Iowa, California, those are the like powerhouse
spots.
states.
Yeah. Well, the whole point of that was like you see the Muay Thai kids when they're kids, they're fighting twice a month, right?
Yeah.
And so I kind of wonder if with the advent or with the adoption of Thai MMA, will we start seeing that kind of thing happening?
Very well could be. I think I've learned a lot myself living in this country about fighting.
Yeah.
Like my father-in-law and my wife's dad used to have a gym in Bangkok, and I've learned a lot about Muay Thai, and I've learned a lot about Muay Thai and about not even about Muay Thai, but about fighting and the way that in this part of the world, the way that they approach fighting, and it's very different than how we approach it in the West, and it's very different. Like the fans are different. Everything's different about it. As long as you go out there and fight hard, and put on a good fight, everyone's happy. In America, if you lose, everyone's like, they
Fuck
forget.
off.
Yeah, exactly. It's very different.
Yep.
And for some of them, it's like, I think MMA is a little bit different for Thai people, because once they transition to MMA, there's this mystique of it's a different sport and things like that. But I've seen fighters that I've trained that fight MMA and they get a little bit nervous, and then I see fighters, Thais that I've trained, and after they fight MMA, maybe they go get a Muay Thai fight in, and it's like going to the grocery store, like it's just like yep, wrapping the hands, they're having a full-on conversation and not nervous, and maybe throw a couple punches and then go out
walk
there
out.
and scrap, so it's just, I think, very different in this country and in a lot of the Asian countries.
Yeah, it'll be. I'm really excited personally to see how it evolves.
Yes.
Because I know there's definitely going to be a Thai twist that just
I think so,
changes
too.
and tweaks it a bit.
I think so too.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.